From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. We're going to talk a little climate today. COP30 is underway in Brazil, 30th Annual Climate Conference. We have to talk a little bit about Epstein and the crack-up of MAGA. I don't really want to. The story, to me, is just more annoying than anything else for a lot of reasons. But I feel a certain duty to bring a couple of things up there. Let's see what we have time for. But let's start with just a few headlines here. It's always Taco Tuesday at the White House. It's always Taco Tuesday. Of course, you know the taco thing, right? Trump always chickens out regarding the tariffs. Yeah, the tariffs have been cut again, especially on things, on groceries, especially like, coffee and bananas and beef, because he's freaked out about inflation and grocery prices. And even though he lies over and over again about how they're going down and down, of course, even he knows. Of course, that's always the question. We're always asking ourselves, what does he know is a lie? What does he think is true because he's just so delusional and narcissistic? Never quite know. I think this is one of those cases where, he knows. He knows where grocery prices actually are. And so that's why he, or at least the people in charge of the orange meat puppet, have decided to cut tariffs. The frustrating thing about this, there's no combating the tariffs or these economic policies. There's no pressure you can put on Congress. There's really nothing we can do. We're kind of at his mercy, or to correct that, at the mercy of the regime, the Miller-Vogt regime. Although on the economy itself, that's supposed to be Russell Vogt's department. That's the way Stephen Miller and Russell Vogt have things divvied up. Stephen Miller is mostly about racism, anti-wokeism, anti-DEI, of course, mass deportation. That's his biggest thing of all. Not so much the economy. That's supposed to be Russ Vogt. But he's more about, the nuts and bolts of government and rigging systems and gutting departments down to the bone and stripping away power from the rest of government. He's the big unitary executive guy. When it comes to actual economic policy, I don't think either one of them really care that much. And they just leave it up to the orange meat puppet because they don't care. So he just tosses his tariff policy around on whims. I guess what I'm saying is there's no use trying to make sense out of any of this. The orange meat puppet is kind of in charge of the economy because I don't think Miller and Vogt really care. They're about government takeover and racism. They don't care about basic economics. I don't think they care that much about foreign policy either. And that's why the orange meat puppet is able to actually wield power himself. Even though we keep saying around here, well, he's not really wielding the power, Miller and Vogt are. No, I think on a couple of really important issues, basic economic policy, basic foreign policy, I think they just let him play. They let him play in his sandbox. They don't really care. They don't. The grift continues, and speaking of foreign policy, this dovetails with foreign policy. Big headline this week is Saudi Arabia, apparently in talks with the boys, with Eric and Don Jr., negotiating some enormous deals for projects. So the grift there is very, very strong. There again, Miller and Vogt, who cares? They're fine with it. Anything that keeps their meal ticket happy. And of course, the oligarch buddies, the billionaire buddies, they're all happy with that. They're all happy with the grifts, the international grifts and the cyber currencies and meme coins, and that just keeps that part of the coalition happy. So it's all just run amok. The orange meat puppet has entirely abandoned Ukraine. That's just over now. That's not even occupying even a little part of his lizard brain. Russia has taken some really eye-popping steps here in the last several days, attempting to cut off water supplies, heat, electricity, just to bring the city of Kiev to its knees. So that's disturbing. And of course, my priority around here is always to face every problem with at least some suggested solutions, maybe some stories about what people are doing, what we can do, what you and I can do as individuals, what we can do together when we organize, how we can support groups like the ACLU that are working the legal angle of all of this. But with these kinds of stories, I'm just throwing my hands up. I had no idea how we fight against the orange meat puppet and his tariff fantasies. I don't know how we fight that. I don't know how we fight the international grift between Don Jr. and Eric and the rest of the world, especially the Middle East. I don't know what we do about Ukraine. None of this, we'll never find any progress on any of these issues unless and until the regime is removed. And that's why I refuse to give up on the idea of impeachment and removal. Because as long as they remain in the seats of power in Washington, D.C., I honestly don't know what to do. I don't know what to suggest. I don't even have any ideas. They just have to be removed. That's just all there is to it. What in the hell can we do about Gaza and the West Bank? Since the so-called ceasefire, there have been hundreds of Palestinians killed, thousands wounded, just in the last month or so of this so-called ceasefire. Violence from so-called settlers, I hate that term, in the West Bank. Deaths, violence, harassment, buildings, houses torched. Yeah, it just all continues. We around here are all about uplifting our own ability to fight the power. I take pride in that, in this program. We're cheerleaders, we give ideas, we find what's working, we uplift the voices of those who have good ideas and are doing good work, and that's what we try to do around here. But these are issues I have no idea what to do, except impeach and remove. We got to keep working on that. All right, small story that has no importance of whatever, but just something I noticed. Walmart is using Cindy Lou Who as a character in their Christmas advertising. They've designed a whole sort of advertising campaign around Whoville to sell stuff at Christmas time. You know who Cindy Lou Who was, right? And all the people of Whoville who had their all their presents and baubles and trinkets and drubbles and fleebles and flobbles stolen by the Grinch. And yet the good people of Whoville learned from the wisdom of the young, beautiful Cindy Lou Who that wasn't Christmas. No, not at all. Christmas was the love and the joy and the holding hands around the tree and sharing and singing. And so Walmart is using those characters to sell us plastic crap at Christmas time. I don't know exactly when irony died, but holy cow, irony is dead. Irony is stone cold dead when they're using Cindy Lou Who to sell us Walmart at Christmas. Do you remember when Mercedes-Benz used Janis Joplin's song in their ads? Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Ask your parents or grandparents about that. A beautiful, great song, a biting, satirical song about the madness and the moral emptiness of consumerism. Great song, great song. And Mercedes-Benz actually used it in their commercials. So irony died a long time ago, but it continues to get buried deeper and deeper as each year passes. Holy cow. All right. I'm sorry, I haven't been too cheerful yet. Maybe I could find something more cheerful. Looking at my notes. Sorry, not gonna. Don't think I'm gonna find that today. Holy Christ. The COP30, the big climate conference, 30th annual. This in Belém, Brazil. We're kind of right in the middle of it. Marked mostly by protests. From opening day, there have been like 3 pretty major protests at the site. Much of it led by indigenous folks who are, as always, being snubbed. Although the Brazilian government, the organizers, claimed up and down that they're going to try to respect indigenous voices at this conference. But that's so far been mostly words and theater. Not so much in any sort of action or more importantly, power, a real voice. So they're doing what they have to do, protests. They actually occupied part of one of the buildings at one point. Talks have been disrupted. They actually blocked the entrance to the conference for a while. Brazil's president, Lula da Silva, said indigenous voices should inspire COP30. Yeah. Condescending, at best. And of course, the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, kind of a ground zero for the climate crisis in respect to the deforestation, that continues. There are some areas of the Amazon rainforest that indigenous peoples control. And those are the only areas that are being protected. So they not only lay claim to the land, but they know what they're doing. They know how to protect it. And yet their voices are marginalized at best. And the problem is, they're talking 2 different languages. And sometimes I mean that literally. I meant it figuratively, but oftentimes it's literally the problem. I guess early reports is that everyone is just exhausted and frustrated by the bureaucracy of the whole thing. And much of that is translation. People are unable to communicate. Reports are not good. The lobbyists outnumber the delegates every year, and they get wrapped up in the bureaucracy of the whole thing, the proceedings. You got to get all your credentials together and the proper lanyards, file through the metal detectors, and then file past 1,000 different kiosks of people selling you things. Now, I haven't been there. I can't report on what it's like. But from everything I'm reading, it sounds like a freaking nightmare. And then you have plenary sessions, and you have breakout meetings, and you have reports, and everybody's talking in this language of bureaucracy. And of course, this goes without saying, but it never goes without saying around here, it is all embedded in a worldview of this economic system that can never be questioned, that there are rich countries and poor countries, and there are great sums of money at stake, and the stakeholders are massive corporations and massive unions representing workers. And so the idea that anything positive could come out of this seems like a sad, ridiculous fantasy. And I don't mean to be so negative, but holy hell. One of these years I'm going to have to go to COP30 as a reporter and experience it firsthand. I don't know if I'd make it out alive. It sounds horrible. It's just in the weeds. It's in the weeds of science. It's in the weeds of politics. It's in the weeds of global corporate capitalism. They've got the thing set up so when it comes down to votes, every country, large and small, gets an equal vote, which sounds great. But by the time they get to that, all the damage has been done. All the conversation, all the policy, all the ideas have been watered down and filtered through this very horrible, global, bureaucratic, corporate-led, politics-led vehicle. So I wish I had better news to report. I'm very disheartened by what's happening so far and what I'm reading. In the next 10 years, by 2035, emissions need to fall by half in order to meet that goal of the 1.5 degrees Celsius. You all know the basic goal, right? We can't raise the average global temperature more than 1.5. That's the big goal. Well, according to some analysis, we've already blown past that. It's like we have no chance of getting there. Okay, so what? Did you just give up? No. So we still shoot for that. At the current progress, though, not a chance. We're staying even at best. We're actually increasing global temperature as we speak. Now, if nations meet their pledges, because that's what they do at COP30, they make pledges, even if they meet the pledges, climate scientists tell us that we're going to blow past that 1.5, well over 2 degrees Celsius. So that's the second best scenario. The third best scenario, and that's if current policies were maintained, that comes out to about 3 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. And then we're cooked. Pun intended. So for me, this just reinforces the point that we can't make any progress until we change the mechanism by which we govern ourselves, whether it's here domestically in the United States or globally regarding the climate crisis. We have to impeach and remove the regime. That's just all there is to it. We can't compromise. We can't vote. We can't fight. Nothing's going to change unless and until we remove the regime. The same goes for the climate crisis. I mean, for the love of God, they're still talking about financial incentives at COP30. Oh, if we give major corporations the right financial incentives. With a straight face, they're saying things like this. No. Profit has to be deprioritized at the very least, abolished at best. The system that got us here, and I don't mean to be vague, I'm never vague when I use the word system. I'm being very precise. I mean a system based on profit at the center of all activity. Profit as the single solitary incentive. A man-made, rule-based economic mechanism, nothing natural about it, nothing God-given about it. No. A very specific system where those who own the resources, those who own the means of production, to borrow a phrase, make the rules, make the decisions, and their one and only incentive is to improve their bottom line for themselves and for their investors. No, I'm not being vague when I use the word system. Like when New Agers use the word energy. They're being vague. No, I'm not being vague when I use the word system. I'm being precise. And that's what has to go. It has to be abolished. So I have no hope while that is still our MO. I have lots of hope that we can still do something about that system. And part of my hope comes from the fact that it's just not working for 90% of the world's population. All right, just a little bit of Epstein because, I don't know, I feel I have no choice. It really is pretty big news. First, let me say, I made just a terrible, terrible error the last time we spoke. I said that the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released 22,000 emails. I was a little bit off. They released 3 emails. I'm sorry. I don't know, I just got that so wrong. The Republicans released like over 20,000 plus pages in a response, which I never quite understood. I still don't. I'm not going to try to. So I just got my facts just entirely wrong. So I apologize for that. That's just a small error. I was only off by 21,997. Other than that, I was right there with you. So, the Epstein thing. What can I say here? Well, it seems to be driving the Orange Menace crazy. It's not often that he stops taking questions from the press, that he disappears, that he cancels public events, and all of those things are happening. So, whatever that means, I don't know. I just know that that's happening and it doesn't normally happen. The one time he did take questions, and maybe by the time you hear this, in fact, I guarantee there's more by the time you hear this. I'm recording this over the weekend. The one time he did take questions on Air Force One, he yelled at the reporter, "Be quiet, be quiet." In that short exchange, he did go back to an old lie about how he broke up with Epstein many, many years ago, and they had a very bad relationship for many years. But these new documents that are coming out have shown that's not true. Apparently, Epstein spent Thanksgiving at the White House while the Orange Menace was president. I mean, come on. My favorite little story from the whole last few days here, though, my favorite little nugget has been when he said, let's see, he did this twice. He did it in a tweet, and he did it commenting on the plane. So I forget which quote comes from which, but he said, "You've got to find out what he knew," he meaning Epstein. "You got to find out what he knew with respect to Bill Clinton. All those people he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase." Yeah, I think that was the comment, repeating what he had said in an earlier tweet. Oh yeah, here's the tweet. When he's calling on Pam Blondie and the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, Chase, and many other people. So, he's got a comma between J.P. Morgan and Chase, as though they're people. Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, Chase, and many other people. And then he repeated that on the plane. You got to find out what he knew with respect to Bill Clinton, all those people he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase. So he's referring to J.P. Morgan Chase as a person, which I found hilarious. Do you remember when he thought Frederick Douglass was still alive? You remember that? Yeah, it was his first time around as president during Black History Month at some event. He referred to Frederick Douglass in the present tense. Yeah, Frederick Douglass is an example of somebody who's done an amazing job and is being recognized. So I just found that slightly hilarious. I think he thinks J.P. Morgan is still around. Of course, J.P. Morgan, John Pierpont Morgan, died in 1913. And the Chase Bank merged with J.P. Morgan in 1895. Founder Salmon P. Chase had already died in 1873. I think he thinks there's somebody called J.P. Morgan and somebody called Chase out there right now. I just found that hilarious. So, then, of course, the big news out of this, he's demanding that Pam Blondie and cross-eyed Kash Patel of the FBI investigate only Democrats mentioned in the tens of thousands of pages of Epstein material. And she said, jump? All right, how high? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Democrats mentioned are Bill Clinton, George Mitchell, and Bill Richardson in the recently revealed emails and such, along with Republicans Tom Barrack, I don't know who that is, and Ken Starr, and of course the orange meat puppet himself. And then of course the international people. There's Prince Andrew, the Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, a whole lot of other people in the financial world, in the media world, in academia, in tech, Bezos, Musk, Peter Thiel. In the financial world, Jamie Dimon, Larry Summers. I mean, just so many names. Yeah, they thought this was some big gotcha, but the universal response was, fine, go get him. We don't care. We don't care if Bill Clinton winds up behind bars. If he contributed or participated in child rape, of course we want him behind bars. We don't give a shit that he's a Democrat. What is your problem? How do you think this is a big gotcha? Go ahead, Pam Blondie. Go get them. Get them all. But, of course, she'll get them all except the orange meat puppet. Because he Gets away with everything. So even though I made that really stupid mistake about 22,000 versus 3, I stand by the rest of what I said. If the so-called Epstein files are the material possessed by the Department of Justice and the FBI, then you should use them in your investigation. Now, Pam Blondie told us a couple months ago that there was nothing left to investigate, that it had run its course. We've done all of our investigating. Well, now by orders of the Orange Meat Puppet, she has to reopen, which is the reason you can't release the files. I stand by what I've been saying consistently. I don't understand why you want the files released. You don't want them released, you want them investigated. So you either demand that Pam Blondie investigate, which now she's going to do, she's appointed a special counsel, or you impeach and remove the regime, get your own AG in there, and have them investigate. But you don't release the files of an active investigation, which this now is. So Pam Blondie can say, whoop, oh, sorry. Even if both houses of Congress pass this Release the Files Act, triggered by the discharge petition, whoop, sorry, can't do it now. Active investigation. And she'd be right. And the court would back her up. This is so insane. And the idea that of everything he's done, literally dozens, and I'm not even exaggerating, literally dozens of impeachable offenses, and this is what's going to bring him down finally. All right, I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. Jesus, this world is so damn weird. All right, don't forget, this week you're stocking up for the big economic blackout. Mass blackout November 25th through December 2nd. So you're going to need all your provisions laid in, as they used to call it. So between now and the 25th, try to buy local, try to use cash, get everything you need for that week, because November 25th through December 2nd, it's a mass blackout. That's everybody. Not left or right, it's up and down now. They get all their power, they get all of their strength from our spending, from our buying their crap. So for that week, the 25th through December 2nd, which includes, of course, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, there will be no spending, no streaming, no restaurants, no travel, no work, no nothing. Get together with friends, enjoy each other's company, and spend no money. In coordination there, during that same time period, we got the People's Sick Day. You're going to call in sick or use your sick days. And the big, beautiful boycott. Everybody's getting together, which is always the case, right? With the big demonstrations, everything. It's always a joint operation. Lots of people getting together, lots of organizations joining hands. So, mass blackout, People's Sick Day, big, beautiful boycott. All right. Thanks for listening. This and all other episodes can be heard at the website, charlesbursell.com, or on your favorite podcast platform. Find us on Blue Sky and Substack. Thanks to our home radio station, River West Radio in Milwaukee. Peter Donalds wrote and performed our theme song. All right, I love you. I'll see you out there.